Welcome back, everybody, to the Cellar Dwellers podcast. Today, as of this recording, it is October 17th. We are halfway through October, quite possibly the best month of the year because of this guy, Michael Myers, and that guy, Michael Myers, and that guy, Christian, who we also have with us today, per usual. I'm just going to rip the Band-Aid right off. A line here in my notebook, which I don't know if you can see here. It's a lot of notes.
Doesn't run.
Anyway, let me just read this word for word here. Biggest disappointment since Malignant.
Wow.
Yeah.
I would totally second that.
Yeah.
If you told me that this movie would be compared in any breath of the word to Malignant, I would not have spent the $11 on the movie ticket. Like, there's no way. Because I don't know if people remember, crazy Cellar Dweller podcast fans, but I said with Malignant, if I in fact drove myself to that movie that night, I would have walked out of the theater.
I do remember that.
Unfortunately, Andrew drove that night, so I was kind of stuck. I was either Uber home or stick through that shitty movie. I wasn't in that frame of mind with this movie because once it kind of got going, I'm like, all right, so this is the route they're going, so have to see how this plays out. This movie was rightfully so, I guess, and kudos to the advertising marketing team for this film. You wisely chose to stay away from trailers and stuff for this movie when in blind, which is what you normally do. But I will tell you, every single trailer, teaser, TV spot I saw, all of it, you did not see Corey Cunningham at all. It was all Michael and Laurie, the final 10 minutes of the movie that everyone was looking forward to. However that played out, who knows? But you could have given people 30 different lifetimes and they never would have guessed the concept, the plot of this film. No chance. Like zero chance. So again, kudos to them for getting people to the theaters opening weekend. But
I'm not happy they did it at the expense of my boy Michael Myers.
To market it like that and then have that type of movie was just the biggest kick in the balls, right? Because Halloween Kills, like, for all of its kind of, I don't know, not taking the plot too serious and the narrative with the whole evil dies tonight thing, that it was way too overdone and kind of stupid. Like, Halloween Kills was just a movie that just focused on Michael Myers just brutally murdering people.
It was a stepping stone movie.
Yeah, so just from that standpoint, it's enjoyable. Like, I put the plot, the narrative aside. I'm like, all right, like, as far as I'm concerned, these aren't even a trilogy. It's almost 3 separate films.
Yeah, Halloween Kills was a massacre in terms of body count.
So, I mean, in my opinion, like, Halloween 2018 was like the perfect like sequel wrap up to Michael Myers, Laurie Strode. That whole dichotomy, the whole great, character arc between the two. It ended, in my opinion, there. It really did. Like, she was mentally and physically preparing her whole life, her daughter, kind of her granddaughter, to the final showdown, inevitably knowing Michael Myers is going to get out and come after her. And she gets him, in his house. But then, because he's the shape of evil, whatever you want to call him, that was where their story ended, just given what they did with Halloween Kills, and especially what they did with this movie.
Quick interjection. This scene behind me, when he breaks out of the house in Halloween Kills, is one of my absolute favorite scenes in the entire Halloween franchise.
Wow.
When he just he goes to town on those firefighters.
I didn't love that, but yeah, it was brutal. Like I said, it just had the definition of brutality. Halloween Kills is right there in Webster's dictionary for sure. But for those of you that don't know or saw this movie and are looking at it after, but as always, we talk heavy spoilers here, so
big time.
Say you've been warned. This movie, again, I always refer to my guy Jeremy Jans, excellent at what he does. Goes to movies like every day, probably sees 2 movies a day. He kind of put it perfectly, and he kind of put it in this like comedy sketch plot of like him on the phone with like another writer. Basically, the premise of it was that it was like one writer talking to another writer that had 2 completely different ideas for the movie, and the other writer kind of overshadowed him and said, no, we're going to have this just random love story intertwined with Michael Myers and Laurie Strode. and he's just going to become Michael Myers. And the guy was basically like, well, isn't this whole story basically about the final showdown between Michael and Larry? No, it's fine. Let's throw Corey Cunningham in here. So that happens at the beginning. I mean, you don't really know what's going to happen, but you clearly know from the start of the movie, Corey Cunningham is going to play a major role in the film. And for 90% of the movie, he basically takes the mantle of Michael Myers, which it completely lost me. And I instantly, at that point, once he went in there and took the mask from him, I'm like, all right, I give up.
Do you remember what I leaned over and whispered to you at that point?
Vaguely, but remind me.
I said, I hope Michael Myers finds this kid and strangles him with his own intestines.
Oh, yeah.
That's the point where, like, when they introduced Corey, the movie's 111 minutes. Halloween ends. And the Corey and Allison plotline takes up about 75% of that.
Dude, I'd even say like 85, 90. I mean, or at
Yeah.
least that's what
But I mean,
it was.
There were specific times in the movie where they do things and I'm like, okay, I'll let it play out, open mind, all that. But then when this dollar store ripoff Michael Myers goes into the sewers and wrestles Michael to the ground and steals his mask, that's it. I was checked out. I'm done. Like, that's it. Like, you don't. You don't.
It's the biggest slap to the face of like this guy right here, in my opinion, icon of all horror slasher movies ever.
Right.
Just how you marketed the movie, like everyone was going into this movie just seeing like how it played out. And I'm sorry, like I'm on board with like the whole like the boogeyman premise, like Michael's like not fully man and not fully,
Oh, of course. That's a crux of the Halloween story.
Was there like a need for like a 4-year gap?
No. I wrote that in my notes too. No way.
That was the other thing I warned you about, the spoiler I saw in the trailer.
That's what it was.
One of the teasers, Larry's like, it's been 4 years since I last saw him. So when I heard that, I'm like, okay, this isn't gonna be good. Like I had a really, really, as they always say in Star Wars, a very bad feeling about
right. Well, my idea behind the 4 years was like, okay, so Michael Myers withstands literally a village pummeling him to the ground at the end of Halloween Kills, and he still gets up. If he's gonna go away and lick his wounds for a little while, I have no problem with that. But for 4 years, maybe a year, okay, because he only comes out at Halloween, right? So a year of living in the sewers, that's fine. But 4 years, he has dedicated his entire life to hunting Laurie Strode. And he goes away. He goes into a hibernation or a self-contained isolation. Why? For 4 years? Like, the only reason he came out of the sewers in this movie was because the idiot Corey stole his mask. Otherwise, Michael wouldn't have come out of this. What's he going to do? Is he going to stay there for the rest of his life and let Laurie walk around thinking that she won? That's not Michael Myers. That's not what he does. Michael Myers dedicates his entire life to hunting Laurie Strode. And then you tell me that he comes out of the sewers after 4 years, not to hunt Laurie Strode, but to kill this one kid, which is fine. But then it makes it feel like hunting Laurie was an afterthought. Why? What, like, I wrote down here, like, I mean, you and I both loved Halloween 2018. I think Halloween Kills was a really good film in creating suspense for the third movie. Obviously, I wish we hadn't known there was going to be a third movie before the second one came out, because nothing bad is going to happen to Michael at the end of the second movie if there's going to be a third one, right? So I still think Halloween Kills did a great job at building that suspense for, what's the conclusion of the story. But then this movie comes out, and I liken it to the final season of Game of Thrones, where they have all this foundation laid out beautifully. All they've got to do is, barely put any effort into the script, just keep it going how it's going already, and then sit back and watch the money and the good reviews roll in. But at the 11th hour, they decide to change literally the fundamentals of the characters of Michael Myers and Laurie Strode, and the fundamentals of the storytelling narrative techniques of the Halloween franchise.
Mhm.
I mean, why, for all that is good and scary, do you think that after 4 movies and 40 plus years, do we want to see a movie about Corey Cunningham when we clearly are in the theater to see how the relationship between Michael and Laurie finally come to a close? Why, in anyone in their good sanity of mind, would they include a new character that spends 75%, maybe more, of the movie building up that character before we see the big dog, Michael Myers? Why? That is the one thought that's been going through my head the last couple of days. And the more that I think about it, I am not joking you, and I'm not doing this for a bit or anything. The more I think about it, the more legitimately angry I get at this movie for doing that.
This movie suffers from, and again, I'm comparing it to another dog shit film that we talked in depth about. It has the Shang-Chi syndrome, where we talked about where I think a lot of movies like this go wrong. Like you're saying, they have a pretty, I wouldn't say like, I wouldn't compare it to Game of Thrones. I've never seen Game of Thrones, but like people were like livid with the final season.
People who have seen Game of Thrones know exactly what I'm talking about, believe me.
But I'm saying, like, I think that I think Halloween 2018 is, in my opinion, like a separate film from even Halloween Kills, because I think it picks up where the original Halloween left off, sort of, and ends like that story perfectly. And then Halloween Kills, I think, was just like, let's just make Michael brutal and just like the shape of evil that he is. He can't die. Like what? And I give it that, but just I think it lost its narrative footing, for lack of a better term, I think, between that and Halloween 2018. So I wouldn't say it has the same foundation as Game of Thrones. I understand and get the comparison, but this movie suffers, I think, from what a lot of films like it, in movies that are building off prior films and prior franchises and prior stories do. It's too many writers, too many people having a say in the writing, principal photography, early stages of the film. Everyone kind of gets an opinion, and people just said, "Hey, let's just throw Corey Cunningham in here." And did you notice too? Like, I think this is how like childish it is. I think they purposely named him Corey Cunningham, double C, Michael Myers, double M. Like, that's how simple-minded some of these people, I think, really were. Like, you know what I mean? Like, I picked up on that early. I'm like, all right, I know what you're doing here. If you want to do that, fine, I get it. But like, have it as like a minor appetizer for the movie. Like, have him in it the first 15%. Like, show the beginning, kind of get some type of, I guess, origin going for him. Show his demise, like wanting, going down the evil path, trying, then coming into contact with Michael Myers, like to, I don't know, please him or something. And Michael just fucking slits his throat. And then it's like, you have the movie. And then Michael's back to being Michael. And it's like not 4-year hiatus, but a year. It's like, again, you and I are brainstorming here. And again, you and I sometimes like have very solid ideas for how a movie can be better.
If I may, I wrote out a better plot for this movie in my notebook.
Oh yeah, we'll
the entire movie.
We'll definitely get to that.
Just because, like, I knew you were touching on it, and I just wanted to mention it, that from beginning to end, I get the whole movie right here. But yeah, we'll get into that.
Not to get off track, but you know what I'm saying about just way too many people having a say, and then producers, directors.
I think there were 4 writers.
Final say, right? All right, let's just all make it work. And I'm sure there were people like, how does this connect to any of the other 2, especially Halloween Kills, where it left off, him murdering her daughter? Like, all of that is an afterthought. Corey Cunningham literally takes the mantle of Michael Myers.
Yeah.
Literally does for 90% of the movie, in my opinion. The final 10% is what everyone went to see. The final showdown between Laurie Strode and Michael Myers. And that was an excellent point. Like you said, the only reason Michael was there is because he literally wrestled him and took his mask.
Yeah.
And getting my mask back. And then he's like, oh, I happen to be in Laurie Strode's home. Let me try to kill her. Kill two birds with one stone type of thing. I'm just like, it's just like every scene I'm sitting there and I'm like, you can't, the next one cannot be worse than what I just watched. Nope, it is.
Yeah, that's what I thought too.
Then you get to the final 10 minutes, you're like, all right, like it has some minor saving grace to it, but at that point, everyone already has that shit sour taste in their mouth, and you just want to get the fuck out of there.
One of the other scenes that really, really, really drove me up a wall was when Michael and Corey go to that doctor's house and then they kill the couple together. Yeah. The one thought that went through my mind, like, I don't know if you saw my face during the movie, but let me reenact it for you. Ready?
For those of you that don't know, that is Andrew's like disgusted face.
It is, yeah. But the one thing that was going through my mind was, this is dumb. Michael doesn't do partners. Michael doesn't need a partner. Michael doesn't want a partner. Michael should not have a partner. And yet here we are with Michael Myers and a partner.
That whole scene felt to me like just some like fandom adaptation of like a side Michael Myers story plot where he has like, it's like a Batman and Robin type of thing. And it's like taking somebody under his wing. Like, and again, at that point I was completely off the bandwagon. I'm like, I gave up. I was done taking that movie serious, like literally after the first 20 minutes. So I was just like, what the fuck? At that point, I was just, the only thing I was looking forward to, Andrew, was just any type of killing, any murders. Because it took like that's the other thing. We could do the math and go back and sadly have to sit through this, but it seemed like it took half the movie to get to the first kill. I mean, besides the kid at the beginning, like I'm saying like an actual murder. Like that was actually on purpose, but
was it the homeless guy under the bridge? No. Maybe. I think so.
Again, I don't count that. I'm saying like a Michael Myers murder.
Oh.
Or like a kill. Like I think the first one was
I think it was the doctor.
Yes.
No,
it was either the doctor or the group of kids. I don't fucking remember, but either way, was that not like more than halfway through the film?
Yeah, it's weird that you have to wait that long during a slasher movie to see someone get killed.
I was that is like I'm like, can you at least give me that? Like, I already hate you, but can you at least like make me semi-entertained and show me a good murder? Which I will say, the Corey Cunningham Michael Myers kills were very well done. That is the
at the junkyard. Yeah, he had some good ones.
That was like the only good thing. And then when he went to the GJ station, cut the guy's tongue off. I'm like, all right, that again, slight kudos, slight thumbs up to that. But my God, like this movie was just, again, I said to our friend Janice, I was like, you could have given me, I always say this, but you literally could have given me like 30 lifetimes. I never would have been able to guess the plot of this movie, ever.
Nor would I have wanted to.
Like, I don't conceptually, I cannot understand the choice, the decision making that went into going forward with this plot. And the fact that they all were like, fuck you to Michael Myers, you can take a back seat for your movie for over.
Bingo, I have that written down right here. Michael Myers takes a back seat in his own movie. So let me walk you through what I call Halloween Ends Again, which is my script for Halloween Ends. Okay. Tossing around the idea of actually writing it, because that will like help me mentally work through this movie.
How bad this movie was, right? I gotcha.
Okay. Beginning of the movie, 30 minutes max. Max is the entire Corey and Allison plot. but shrunk.
Yep.
Because I think the way they wanted to make their movie with, the legend of the boogeyman kind of infecting the citizens of Haddonfield, including Corey, fine. Honestly, I think that's not a bad story point, right? But 30 minutes max, okay? Up until the point where Corey lures Michael out of the sewers by stealing his mask, okay? That is at the 30-minute mark. Corey then goes on and tries to become the new Michael Myers, right? While Michael is out looking for him. And I quote, this is what I have written down. Mikey ruins Corey with no mercy. And obviously gets his mask back. Okay. Now, at this point, I should mention, this is only a year later. This is not 4 years. This is not 16. This is not 28. This is not 53 years later. Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. One year later. Okay. So after Michael gets his mask back, out in the world, out and about on Halloween night, Michael goes, maybe I should see what my girl Lori's up to. Begins to stalk Lori again, akin to Halloween, 1978. Okay. Now, Lori, living her new life of freedom, not being ruled by fear, which I did very much enjoy, the new characterization on Laurie Strode, to an extent, begins to deny the fact that Michael Myers is actually back. She sees him and he disappears, and she's like, no, I'm done with that. It's not true. It's just my mind playing tricks, whatever. Allison shares the same mentality of, it's done. He's gone. Don't worry about it. Michael finds Allison and absolutely ruins her as well. Doesn't kill her. That's very important. Whether, he does it on purpose or Lori intervenes. Either way, Allison is not dead. Okay. Reminder, Corey is dead. Okay. That's important because I like when Corey dies. So after seeing what happened to Allison, Lori then immediately switches her mentality back to 2018 Lori. Doomsday prepper. I'm going to kill Michael Myers, Lori. They have the final fight, similar to how it happened. The thing I would change is that Michael kills Lori. Michael gets up and goes away back to the sewers, okay? His mission is done. His lifelong goal is accomplished. Yet he still maintained a lot of injury from that final fight. He goes into his sewers, maybe sits down, maybe collapses, who knows? He dies in the sewers. But because it's in the sewers, nobody knows where he went. Now, this is going to take it full circle. You ready? Since they don't know that he's dead, the citizens of Haddonfield have to assume that he's still out there. He was strong enough to kill Laurie Strode, the one person that was strong enough to kill him. He must be lurking in the shadows. Therefore, what I call the boogeyman syndrome that they introduced in the beginning of the movie stays alive. Laurie's dead. Michael's dead. The legend of the boogeyman still lives. Therefore, cementing the fact that Haddonfield is, was, and always will be a cursed town where bad things happen. Allison lives. Allison lives out the rest of her, presumably lives out the rest of her life in fear and paranoia. All the citizens, do all these bad things to each other. And that's it. That's the movie.
Already way more on board than what I saw.
Because the movie's about Michael Myers. Like, I don't understand why that's so difficult to make a Halloween movie about Michael Myers. See, Season of the Witch excluded, but like, I just don't understand.
That was the next thing I was gonna say. Please do not include Season of the Witch.
No, that's different. But you
masterfully horrible, but it's, yeah. But even that movie, I have to imagine, like, I think people are more so like, why the fuck is this called Halloween 3? Because even the trailers had never showed Michael Myers.
Yeah,
so
I don't know.
Saw him, just thought he was in the movie, but like, at least it was true to what it was. This movie all is they just framed it all around Michael versus Laurie, the final
Mhm.
showdown. And I don't know, silly me for thinking there'd be some lead up, like, I don't know, a year ago, before I found out it was 4 years, like a year goes by, like you said, he licks his wounds, comes back. You see some great murders of him trying to get from point A to point B, and in between, he's just murdering innocent people of Haddonfield that people want to see. You want to see Michael killing people. That is his character arc, and fucking defeating his nemesis, who's only ever managed to stop him more than anyone else, Laurie Strode. That is the type of movie I was expecting, and instead you get some second-rate, like, sidekick version of Michael Myers taking the mantle of the whole movie. And I agree with you. I like the idea of this boogeyman syndrome, as you put it very well, by the way, kind of infecting Haddonfield and people being like afraid to go out at night, and then people kind of wrongfully like accusing Laurie Strode of like creating Michael Myers, which is just bullshit. But
I think that was so stupid.
oh my god, you know what it reminded me of? It I call that the Jaws syndrome, where Chief Brody, people that have seen Jaws, I hope everyone here has, is the only one trying to do something to protect people of Amity Island, and instead he takes all the blame. And it's the same thing here. Laurie is the only one trying to prevent Michael
Yeah.
from hurting anyone else.
Yep.
He takes all the blame. It's like,
Yep.
just
100% correct.
why the hell they ever do that? I don't know. What purpose does it serve? None. I have no idea. That was literally the only thing I hate about Jaws, is the fact that like Chief Brody gets framed for like being responsible for those two people dying. It's like just fucking stupid. It's just stupid. Pissed me off. So that just went up my ass sideways. Excuse my language. when that happened, and that lady that
It's fine. We're angry.
I guess somehow survived that. Just
The light tube in her neck.
just I don't even. Wow. Kudos. I mean, geez, she is the victim of the entire Halloween franchise. I mean, she gets that award for, I don't know, whatever would be, surviving Michael Myers' most brutal attempted murder.
Yeah.
It goes to her. But they just, again, I texted you this and told you, but just what a shame, man, for a movie that just had so much potential. And like I said, it sucked, but it was also a relief, because I went into this movie knowing it would be bad. As bad, definitely not. But
I didn't. I was the opposite.
right. I wasn't, I think, anywhere near your level of disappointment for, I don't know, expecting what you were rightfully expecting, which was the lead up to the final showdown of Michael versus Laurie. That's all anyone wanted. And we didn't get that. We got it in the last 10% of the movie, last 10, 15 minutes of the film. That's it. I mean, hypothetically, you could literally skip this entire movie until the final showdown, and you're done.
Yeah, but at the same time, I fully understand what you're saying. But at the same time, I mean, the appeal of Halloween in 1978 and 2018, I will include both of them in this statement. You don't watch that movie just for the end where Michael and Laurie square off, whether it be in 78 or 2018. You watch it for the stock, for the entire movie. That's Michael Myers. Michael Myers is the one that stands outside your window and hides in the shadows and attacks when you least expect it, right? So for the people behind Halloween Ends to think that just having this explosive final fight between the two of them is enough to constitute the character of Michael Myers is just idiotic. Because there was one shot of Michael staring at Laurie from behind a tree. I mean, that's not enough to say that's Michael Myers. That's enough to say that's a creep hiding in the bushes.
Right.
You know, it's not like in 78 where Michael is in the laundry or outside of the school or in her neighbor's house. You know what I mean? It's just
stalking her.
Right. One final fight is not enough to do it. And that's what really kills me, is that it's just like the people who wrote and made Halloween 2018, who are the same people that made this one, I walked out of that movie, Halloween 2018, thinking, wow, you know, these filmmakers have such a grasp on Michael Myers. It's crazy how much they understand him. And then you watch this one and it's like, are you sure the same people made these two movies? It's astounding. It really is.
Yeah, like I said, it was just. I think from that trailer spoiler, it was a good early warning symbol for me. But no, I mean, I totally agree with what you're saying. I was just saying the fact that you get what you're looking for more or less in the last 10 minutes. I mean, that is the only connection to the other
Yes. Yeah.
point. That's it. But of course, you want to see what makes Michael Myers, which is, again, like you said, the stalking, the uneasiness, the boogeyman factor, the shape of evil, whatever you want to call it, the shape, like anything you want to imagine about it in terms of evil and uneasiness and the unknown, the uncanny valley, all of it, where it's like you can just characterize Michael Myers and see what he does best in the original Halloween and then Halloween 2018. Just like anyone comes in his way of his end goal, which is, you know, Laurie Strode. You know, you have Halloween 1978. You know, she's the first person he comes in contact with since he got back from Haddonfield. And he's like, I'm just going to stalk her and follow her all day and try to get to her and kill her. Perfect. So simple, so easy, on board, done. You have your movie. And you just, from that point on, it's just eye candy, the whole movie. And even in Halloween 2018, you know, he's at Smith's Groves again, breaks out on the bus. You know, the doctor helps him, obviously. But, you know, once he gets back to Haddonfield, he's like, I'm going to fuck shit up and try to get to Laurie Strode. He does just that. And it's like, that to me is Michael Myers, not necessarily like the idea of pure evil and evil being an infection. It's just, some people are dark and twisted and born like that. I get it, but he to me is just different and he stands out. You can't say like everyone is like him, or, you know, what killed me too that we didn't mention in this movie is like he looks into Corey's eyes and senses his evil, so he lets him go. It's like, come on, Michael doesn't have any sympathy for anyone he comes in contact with.
No, that's gross, dude. Michael doesn't take prisoners. No way. Michael slits your throat and moves on. Want a break from the ads? Subscribe to Cellar Dwellers Productions on YouTube. The ads won't go away, but you'll see more great content like this. I want to mention real quick before we move into the things we liked and then final thoughts. Allison, Laurie's granddaughter. The thing about Allison was that in the last two movies, she was built up to be almost like a predecessor to Laurie Strode, as like she's like somewhat of a main character. In this one, I liken her to America Chavez in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness, where she had no agency of her own whatsoever. And anything that she only did because she was a plot device that was used to further the development of other characters rather than herself. So honestly, any scene with the character of Allison, and I'm not attacking the acting or anything, but any scene with the character just felt like a waste of screen time.
Yeah, I mean, I think again they tried to focus her being connected to Corey for some reason, which just never felt real, never felt like, I don't know, practical. Like it just, you could just tell it was acting. And like, just especially like the first, like when they're at the bar at that party, it's like I just never bought it really. Like I never bought that she actually gave a fuck about that kid. It was just very weird how he was quickly introduced into Laurie Strode's life. And another thing, it's like, since when does like a freaking 4-year kid out of high school get bullied by seniors in high school?
That are a part of the marching band.
Yeah, I was like, I mean, out of all the stupid crap this movie throws at your face to just say, please buy and accept what we're trying to do here, that I was like, I just can't. Like, oh my god, it was one disaster after another. I was like, for fuck's sake, like, all you wanted to do before we took the fucking stupid Michael Myers mantle from him, you just wanted him to just stab all those freaking douchebags.
I would honestly just have rather them go the stereotypical route and make them all football jocks at that point. Like marching band.
that was just, again, just proves and shows how piss poor the entire writing staff was in this movie, and just the complete disconnect they had from not only Halloween 2018, which was like much better narratively and plot structurally wise, but just even carrying off from Halloween Kills, that again took a lot less focus on, you know, character development and plot structure and all that, and just focused on the singular brutality that is Michael Myers. Like, nope, all just complete disconnect, and just idea after idea after idea after. It's like, you get an idea, you get an idea, you get an idea, you get an idea, you get an idea. We're gonna throw them into the movie all together. Well, I was in a marching band, so can we try to like make it like seem popular and cool for kids to do? Yeah, sure, totally, Joe.
Wasn't there another movie like that we talked about recently where everyone got an idea? What was it?
It happened. I remember Shang-Chi, sort of. We talked
Maybe.
about, but it was a more recent one. But no,
Can't remember.
it's just so easy to tell when that happens in movies, because there is just no connectivity at all.
Mm-hmm.
There's no fluency. There's no similarity from, you know, scene to scene. It's just every scene. That's why I said earlier, like every scene just felt like different and felt like it was just not building off anything. So it's like, just looking at it as a singular film, as I love to say, it was literally all over the map. It did not know where
You
to
do
start.
love to say that.
It did not know where to start, and definitely didn't know where to friggin' finish.
No, did not. Did not.
You had mentioned, you know, before we started, what did you think of the final like procession scene with Michael Myers? Because I will say, one thing I was waiting for was like the final Michael Myers like grasp. Literally was thought he was gonna like pull her into the metal shredder at the end.
I can say that. Well, I thought he was gonna do it when he was on the table and he like grabbed. I thought he was gonna like pull her head down in a knife or something. But the final procession. Okay. I don't mind it because, you know, okay, let me backtrack.
I will say the funniest part of that was when you looked at me, you're like, is that the black kid from the 2018?
And like, was that the kid from? And you're like, yeah.
Funny to see. I like that.
I have to go back just a little bit to explain my thought on this. The whole Evil Dies Tonight thing in Halloween Kills, right? When you think about it, right? That movie takes place, 40 years after Halloween 1978. But it erases all other Michael Myers movies from continuity, right? So in this timeline, as of Halloween Kills, and they didn't know who he killed, earlier in the night, as of that mob only knows of what, 4 people that Michael killed?
Yeah.
Right? So like it would have been more impactful, that whole Evil Dies Tonight thing, if they had at least kept Halloween 2 in continuity and have his body count at least get into the double digits, right?
Mm-hmm.
But with only 4 people, like, okay, you're really gonna start an entire mob against the guy that only killed 4 people.
Right.
So with the procession, I feel like it was the same thing. Like, I don't mind it. I understand the idea behind it, just like I understand the idea behind the mob and Halloween Kills. But like, you're really gonna like strap a corpse to the top of your car, drive it to the junkyard with the entire town following you, and then throw it in a junker shredder? It's like, wouldn't that have been more impactful if the entire movie was about Michael and not just the last 10 minutes?
Exactly.
Because at that point, it just felt like it was shoehorned in, and it was just cheesy. It was like 1980s style campy.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? Like a high school kid's making his final project, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna put this in because this is gonna be so cool and edgy." It's like, yeah, but it's not, because basically they gave more weight to the death of a secondary character in Michael Myers than they did to Corey. So it just felt out of place. And if the rest of the movie was truly about Michael Myers, I don't think I would be having the same opinions about the procession. I think I would be sitting there saying, you know what? Yeah, great. Like, that's, just to give the town closure. But as it stands now, I think it was just like kind of dumb.
Yeah, I didn't really think of that. That there's like no. That it's kind of mathematically impossible that he would impact like literally every citizen of Haddonfield,
Right.
right? Like in the previous film. So it did definitely feel like shoehorned and very corny and way too like over the top and stuff. And yeah, I definitely was getting those vibes. At that point though, like I just was not taking the movie serious at all. So
It's too
I
far
really
gone.
didn't think of it right. It was just like, okay, whatever. I guess this is how they think and says it ends. And then like one minor note too, like they really didn't. I thought, and whatever. Tell me if I'm completely wrong, but I was kind of hoping, was thinking that Hawkins was going to have a bigger role in it. Again, I mean, if Michael Myers doesn't have a bigger role in his own fucking title movie, then why, silly me for thinking Hawkins, who captured him that first night and shot his partner, trying to kill Michael Myers, you would think, oh, he's going to have some tie-in to, finally finishing the job with him. Like, and then there's just weird, like, flirty tones going on throughout this movie with him and Laurie that were just felt so awkward and kind of
Yeah.
weird.
I mean, they hinted at the relationship at the end of Halloween Kills. So okay, fine, I don't mind. But even the inclusion of him at the end of Halloween Kills in the hospital and Laurie making sure he stays alive, again, that leads into the idea like, okay, he's gonna have a role in Halloween Ends, and then he doesn't. So like, why even make Halloween Kills is what I'm trying to say. Why not?
This is what I'm getting back to, Andrew. Like, this wasn't a trilogy as much. It was three separate takes on Michael Myers, but within the same timeline, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like, I feel like in most situations, you could take any one of these 3 movies and say, no, 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 this is the sequel to the original. Because it feels like they all start and end the same way.
Right.
In most capacities, obviously. Which is not what a trilogy should do. A
Right.
trilogy should build off of each other.
I was just gonna say that. Yep.
So I
Again,
don't
like
know.
you said brilliantly, it was so simple, but just wasted potential. Just completely wasted dog shit. Like, it's so frustrating. It really is, because it's a franchise, it's a character we love, created by one of my favorite, if not 1A, him and Kubrick and Carpenter, like, directors of all time. I mean, that's another thing. He must be like just laughing, just collecting the
Oh yeah.
paycheck every week, being like, "Thank you very much. I don't give a fuck. You're ruining my whole character. Thanks. I'll keep collecting my money in my old age." So
Yeah, I don't think he cares, honestly. I mean, the score was great as always, because John Carpenter oversees that. So you're never gonna as long as he's on as a composer, like you're never gonna have a bad score. So that's
I think that's a decent transition into the few decent
yeah,
things,
the few things.
the very, very few like that I can count on one hand things that I liked about this movie. First and foremost
5.
is I did, as much as I hated again, as I said, the dumb idea for having Corey Cunningham be the Michael Myers sidekick. His kills were brutal and like
Mhm.
you can't take your eyes off. I mean, I don't think I've ever seen a person get blowtorched in the mouth and their whole face just burns from the inside out. That was very cool to see.
Yep, I have the same note. Kills and gore on point.
Would I have liked to see Michael doing that? Of course,
Yes.
obviously, but you got to kind of take what you can get with having such a shit movie like this.
Yep.
So, again, didn't mind them. Were fine, entertaining. Again, took like more than half the movie to get to, but you eventually kind of get there. So, again, had that, and I agree too. In all three films, the score was on point. That iconic theme, a little kind of changed, throughout the three movies.
Slightly modified.
Yeah, the score and the tone of the movie I thought was pretty spot on. And again, the effects and the cinematography and stuff, kind of simple things that shouldn't be the easiest part of the movie. They, all kind of spot on here. Didn't really see major issues with them. But yeah, that was seriously, Andrew, that was about that was about the only few things that I enjoyed about the movie slightly. I say that with a grain of salt.
Yeah. I have like I mentioned quickly earlier, the new characterization of Laurie Strode, really trying to live a life not ruled by fear and paranoia. So that's cool. A Laurie that's like willing to just go and bake pies for fun. Obviously, that doesn't last very long. I have Laurie wearing her classic blue. It's a cheap nostalgia grab, but it worked on me because it's very cool.
Like that, and I also liked how they ended it with "Don't Fear the Reaper."
Yeah, that was cool.
To when he's first.
As we discussed in our Pearl episode, "Don't Fear the Reaper" is a good horror movie song.
For sure.
I enjoyed the final fight, the brutality of it, the desperation of it's me or you. One of us is gonna go, but then this is where we're gonna end it. I liked that. I really enjoyed almost everything in the last 10 minutes, but that's not nearly it. That alone is literally what is getting this movie a 1 out of 5 on my Letterboxd. And it breaks my heart to do that because you know how much I adore Michael Myers in the Halloween movies, but honest to God, dude, this movie is right up there with like Halloween 6 is dog water movie, Anyway, the other one in the section that I titled "The Good Stuff," Corey is dead. That's all it says.
He built it up in excitement when he got his neck twisted by Mikey.
Corey is dead. That's what it says right here. Corey is dead. And the last point before we'll wrap up, the last good thing I liked about this movie. This is word for word. This is the finale, so we don't have to see more bad writing that disgraces my boy Mikey.
Spot on. Or so we think. Let's really hope so. I don't think there's coming back even for him.
I don't think there's like a lot of room for a sequel, which is monumental for a horror movie.
This is the final question, and this is a deep thinker. This is facilitation at its finest.
Yeah.
So, and again, they go in a million different directions, but just hear me out. Storyline wise, after seeing all the Halloween films, which I implored you to do so, I remember years ago, after you became a huge fan of Halloween, you refused to watch all the other sequels because they're not very good. Having seen all of those now, do you like the chronologically original storyline, which is Michael Myers, Laurie Strode / Laurie Myers, like all those films? Or do you like this version of Halloween where they're not siblings, but you can't just take Halloween and Halloween 2018. You have to take all of them. You have to take this entire movie because they're all connected in the same universe.
So we're excluding the H2O movies and we're excluding the Rob Zombie ones, or can I choose those two?
Yes. No. Yeah, I guess you have to exclude the H2. I forgot because it's like a separate storyline. So what I'm including the first one is Halloween 2, and she's in the hospital and he goes after her.
Yeah, 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
Exactly.
That's a really tough question, my man. That's difficult. Oh man, because like 1, 2, 4, 5, 6.
At least with 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, like they stay in the same like realm. You know what I mean? Like I know it gets
More or less.
with him becoming that like Celtic source of
The
evil,
Druids.
the Druids, like being the symbol of evil and also that cult's savior or whatever. So like, but they went somewhere with the character at least, right? Now you can shit on the movie's implementation, but at least it had some, again, connectivity, congruency, as I love to say.
Yeah, you got a point.
I think after Halloween 2018, all of this timeline's connectivity just gets completely thrown out the window and just they don't give a fuck about it.
Yeah. I honestly, I think just because of recency bias, I can't answer your question with 100% certainty because it's so hard to discount what happened in the 2018 movie solely because of what happened in this movie.
Right.
Because I think Halloween 2018 was absolutely incredible.
Well, that's why I had to include these because they want to tie.
Yeah, they balance it out.
Yeah.
I mean the whole Jamie Lloyd thing I can live without, but like you said, there's a certain level of consistency that goes with those movies, where the story just continues. And the Druid thing is just god awful and disgustingly stupid.
Gotta rewatch those movies.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think I can answer your question just because I'm so legitimately angry at Halloween Ends right now that like I'm inclined to say 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, but I don't know if that's my actual answer.
It's sad that I would watch 10 times out of 10 Halloween Resurrection with Busta Rhymes over this film. That is the sad truth that I've come to in the past few days. Like my mother wanted to see it with us, and I'm so happy she didn't because she despised Halloween Kills. Like despised it, hated it. Which again, I understand that. I do understand the hate for that movie when I look at it from a different scope.
I get it.
But my God, she would have like left. Like she would have walked out.
I would have had to drive you home.
And then and it wasn't even a stretch. Like I was telling Andrew before we started recording, my dad, who kind of got me into Halloween, like hasn't seen all of them, whatever. He's not a big movie buff, but he said a plot, created a storyline that I would have been more on board for, which literally meant resurrecting Dr. Loomis from the dead and him and Laurie going after Michael and killing them together. Or no, excuse me. He said Michael and Dr. Loomis going
Go
after
kill Laurie. Yeah, at this point, just like bring the Druids back and be like, yeah, we resurrected Loomis for you.
I would have been way more on board with that. I actually
God. Almost anything would have been better than what we got.
If I would have, this would have been my favorite Halloween movie if you just heard the Silver Shamrock theme. That would have made that like just think of that would have made them just from a comedy perspective.
I mean, let's be honest here, buddy. It couldn't have gotten any worse than it already was. Okay.
So that's all I care to speak more on this movie.
I'm finishing my written review tomorrow, and then that's it.
Just you are just putting it in the Andrews box.
I'm not thinking about this movie anymore.
See you later.
I'm going to write my own script. Everyone call up Blumhouse and tell them that this kid, Andrew Buca's got an idea for a better movie. We'll just erase Halloween Ends from continuity, and we'll all crowdfund Halloween Ends again.
I'm on board. I am on board.
You can play Laurie Strode if Jamie Lee doesn't want to do it.
Yeah, sure.
Nice.
Totally down with that.
Only if I get to play Michael.
Yeah, I mean, obviously.
It's the one I'll stay behind the camera. The exception is if I get to play Michael Myers.
Well, that should be the your famous thumbnail. Like I should be Laurie's face, you be Michael.
Okay, I'll make one.
Hey, you have something to look forward to do with this movie, right?
Yeah. But that's it. I'm done. I can't talk about this movie anymore.
And I'm losing brain cells by the second here.
Can't do it. Go watch the Rob Zombie Halloween movies.
Yes. Oh, on that note, I am going to go watch the original masterpiece 1978 Halloween.
Right now?
Oh yeah.
That's cool.
I need to get this. The taste came back to my mouth just talking about this movie.
Need to get it out.
Yeah.
I get it.
But yeah, that's it. Keep an eye on this page again, as I mentioned before. Andrew's in his own state of mind right now, pumping out good content, good story ideas, doing some good writing. So he's got some films on the docket, so keep an eye out for those. I'm sure you and I will have upcoming more episodes, as there's always more movies to talk about. So yeah, look at that.
That's my Nightmare Before Christmas video that is
Ooh,
almost out.
I can't wait. You should this is just a suggestion. You should try to release it like halfway between Halloween and Christmas. Kind of stupid, but like kind of funny too.
Not a terrible idea.
But I will frigging, I'm looking so forward to that video. But yeah, this has been another episode of the Cellar Dwellers pod.
We have been the Cellar Dwellers.
We have been the Cellar Dwellers. Also, I think if you do the research on YouTube, I think there are like 2 other Cellar Dwellers podcasts, but they get like the same, if not less, views than us. So I think we're the main Cellar Dwellers. That's what I like to think.
Yeah. So tell your grandma.
Yeah. Tell your grandmother. Tell your mailman. Tell Aiden. Aiden, you gotta tell everyone too.
Tell Aiden to answer my text.
Keep an eye on the page and stay spooky during the season.
My man, Mikey.
Please, last thing I'll say, don't let this movie ruin your desire to watch other Halloween films. Please
No.
don't.
Watch the Rob Zombie ones.
Yes, you have to.
Okay, bye.